Welcome from my hood to your hood. I'm your host, Guy Shane. Today we'll be going to my Aunt Nora's kitchen to learn the recipe of making tortillas. It's a simple recipe, but there's so many stories behind it. And the great thing about today is she's going to be teaching her daughter, Denise, and her granddaughter, Leilani. We're going to be hearing the stories what my cousin Denise remembers growing up and the stories my Aunt Nora has from making them over the years. So again, I'm your host, Guy Shane. Welcome from my hood to your hood. Welcome from my hood to your hood. I'm your host, Guy Shane. I'm here with my Aunt Nora, her daughter Denise, her granddaughter Leilani, her son Sammy's walking around as well as also her grandson walking around, Robert, and Jerry as well. We're going over the recipe of tortillas. It seems like a simple recipe, but to cook them, it's actually an art. It's been passed down through generations. Wherever you get it from and wherever you get the recipe of tortillas, it always has a different technique or there's a different way of making them. They're either very big, very thin, or very thick. And with my Aunt Nora, I found out that you make them small. You make them smaller instead of really big. And how did that come about? Like what, instead of making them really big, like how did that come about?
I can't make them big. My mom always made them small and they just seem to
She
be
started
just
shrinking
the
and so
way.
did the tortillas.
That's my cousin Sammy. Say, because as she shrunk, so did the tortillas got. That's as big as her hands could be to make the tortillas.
True.
When was the first time that you made them? Do you remember?
I would think it was like, I must have been, it's right after I was married.
That was the first time you
Oh,
started
yeah.
making them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? So you didn't
Yeah.
make them any younger than that?
No, not really. My mom showed us how,
Yeah.
but we really just watched her mostly.
And I noticed it's pretty basic with the flour, the lard or the manteca, the baking soda and water, right? Like you just...
Like baking powder.
Yeah, baking powder. Okay, then not baking soda, baking powder. But with that, there's a texture that you're looking for.
Right, yeah.
What is it? Is it a little more spongy?
It's got to, so when they stretch out easier.
Oh, okay. And then with Nisi, I remember when we're talking about this show, you brought up tortillas right away because we're talking about food and history and what it means to you.
Yeah.
What about the tortillas? Why was this the one that stood out the most to you?
I just remember, like, my mom was always in the kitchen cooking, so it was like she had 3-course meals as you can for like Mexican food, but like tortillas was always something that
It was
added
the
to,
staple.
like it was our fork,
Right.
and our spoon, like that's what we scooped up our food with, and so she always had tortillas there, and so it was just, when we were little, she would even make them to just put beans in them, or fill them, or put peanut butter and roll them and send us off to play, or like a quick snack, like it was, let's put some butter on it, we'll make them a little bit crispy, put some butter on it, and we can eat it. So it was just like always, because they were always around, it was just an easy snack that we can get to, and then eat it.
Yeah, I remember you were saying every time your mom made them, the kids from the neighborhood knew they
Oh,
were
yeah.
being made. So they would show them all the time.
Yeah, so all the
And
kids,
everything.
I just remember the kids would always and they still talk about it, like, all these years later, that, I remember your mom's tortillas, like, those were the best tortillas ever, and, they wanted to come, and they still want to, and I'm like, my mom doesn't make them anymore, like, I don't know how to make them, my kids have never tried them, I don't even think Lonnie has ever
You've
tasted
never
them
had them
before.
before? Seriously?
No.
Out of how many years now? You're like 16, 17,
17.
and you haven't had
She's
one of
not
your
had
nanas
one.
tortillas yet? So this is kind of a cool experience then.
Yeah.
So her making them right now, I know you didn't get quite to see all of it and all of what she did, but it's going to be your first time actually ever tasting your nana's tortillas.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an amazing
History in
thing.
the
Yeah, it
making.
really is. It's kind of history in the making. And which is, wow, even growing up and they meant so much to you, like you never thought about learning to cook them or anything like that?
No, like, they haven't been around forever, it's just kind of like, I mean, I learned how to cook some of my mom's dishes, because I was just kind of thrown into it, but it was never, we never thought about making them, I guess, because she had just stopped making them when I was younger. Gosh, I don't even remember, I was probably like 10 when she stopped, like,
You
I
don't
don't
think?
know.
They'll probably be bite-sized now.
They might be, because I did see them rolling back. Those things were tiny. Yeah.
Roll those out.
So with that, with the tortillas, did you know you making the the tortillas had that much of an impact, like it stayed with her for that long? Did you know it meant that much to her?
I didn't know.
Which is kind of cool. Like that's what I love about food. Like if you didn't know without her kind of telling you this, now she's kind of learning the recipe with it. And I know she wasn't here during the full time of it, but it's something that I think you're gonna want to learn to make now. And then after you have them, hopefully you're gonna be like you're gonna want to learn to make them. Yeah, or be like every time you come over, like, nah, let's do some tortillas.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something you could sit with her when she's here, and when you're here, you can be with her and making them. I know at first you're kind of like, no, I don't want to make them.
Yeah.
But understand the history of that. You know what I mean? It's been passed down from her going to you, and there's so much story behind that, which is kind of really cool. I mean, it means a lot with the tortillas. And a simple recipe just means so much.
Right.
And with that, Sam, oh, he's gone.
Oh,
That's why, yeah.
He's got the one-liners.
Yeah, he's got the one-liners, and that's it. He's in and out.
Punch joke, the
Uh,
punch
jokes.
line.
Oh, and then we were talking about where you're making them. Something about the dough that you just have to have
Oh,
a
like,
little nibble.
I don't know why, but I remember when I was little and she used to be like rolling them out, I would always come in and like tear off little pieces from her already made stuff. She'd be like, stop, because she was almost like an engineer where everything was like perfect. She already knew how to measure everything out and never had like any leftovers because it was like everything just came out like perfectly, you know.
Yeah.
And so I would just come in and take a bit and eat it, and I just thought it was so good. And she's like, that's not good, it's so gross, like it's just flour and salt and water.
You never
I've
tried
never
that?
done
Oh my god, I love it.
Because
I
you
was
said
just
that
like,
too. I used to
You
do the
like
same
that
thing.
raw
Yeah, I used to
too?
pinch off just
I
a little
love
bit
it
as
raw.
well.
I
And
love
so,
eating
yeah.
Yeah. The masa as well? Yeah, you like eating the masa, so it must be, you
I
passed
passed
it
it
down to
down.
her, yeah.
I don't know. They
So-
never even tasted it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I love that stuff. So I remember that as a kid, like doing that. So this like brings back a lot of memories from a lot of parties and stuff that we've had here.
Yeah,
when we
because
were
there
younger.
was always a lot of parties here, and it was a big family that always came here. Like you said, it was, how did we fit so many people here, and how did we feed everybody? Like it was there. Yeah, it was true. I remember the tortillas growing up and all that. And you're saying they kept getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
When did you notice they were getting that small?
Just as the years went by, they were getting smaller.
When he
and
got
bigger.
bigger, when he got bigger and his hands got bigger.
Yeah, which was kind of cool because even like when you're growing up here, you running around throughout, coming in and out, there's always tortillas here for you. Huh?
Yeah. Right when she'd make them, they'd bubble up,
Yeah.
and we'd get them and
Cut
cut
right
it in
down
the
the
middle of them
center.
and throw the butter in the middle of the
Throw the butter in the middle?
Yeah.
I never even
Eat it
thought
like
about
that.
that. Like after I was out.
It made it taste a whole lot different.
Really? Yeah,
It does.
that's nice. So as we have them sitting, they are resting right here. So the next step, we got them pre-made just because it was gonna take a while to do that while we talked. What's the next step? How are we gonna? Do we have to roll them out? Do we have to lay flour out? What do we do next?
Yeah, we might have to if it sticks to, cause I don't have
Get
my,
my hair done.
You don't have your pin?
I have my pin, but I don't have my little thing that I used to make them, roll them out in.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna roll them on the counter.
She grabbed her
She
little
grabbed
piece
her
of
little
dough.
piece already. So,
I didn't even see you
So when
sneak
was
the
the last
rolling
time
pin
you
is
had
back
these
there.
tortillas, Sam?
Shit, it was a long time.
Grandma?
Really?
I don't know, it's on the counter right there
I
somewhere.
don't even
No,
It's a
remember.
little one.
When was the last time you made these, Sam?
About 15 years.
No, Robert was here,
Oh.
he was staying here already and I made some.
You probably put it away.
She's fighting for that moment.
I think you put it away.
The
I was on
17 years that I haven't had one.
Yeah, that's true. That has to
Oh
be.
my god,
Yeah.
you lost it?
I must
It
have
was
been on
here.
vacation when it was made.
Did you move it?
Is that what it was?
Maybe you moved it.
I didn't move it, Mama.
Oh,
So they're saying at least 17 years, and
17,
because
no, they were.
Lonnie says she hasn't had one.
She had
No, but she
But she
wasn't.
was a baby.
She wasn't here. Oh my gosh, how did we put up that rolling pin?
Oh, is it this one?
It probably is. It's so tiny, you probably don't know that's what it
My
was.
mama's all like,
I,
have a heart
I have a
attack
big
right
one
now.
and I can't use it, so let's see,
okay.
hopefully
That one's not
I don't need,
A little bit of
a
flour.
little
on
bit
it.
of flour, it seems to be okay.
And who taught you how to cut
That's
open the
so
middle one after it fluffed up after you put them on?
And my grandma used to do it. My grandma
At
was
my
there
mom's.
When
Oh,
we went
really?
to Texas, yeah.
When you guys were in El Paso,
Yeah.
they taught you to do that? No?
Yeah, they would bubble up, big old bubbles in the middle, and you just cut it open right in the center.
Put you on the spot. Whose tortillas are better?
Oh, my mom. Her beans and her tortillas were delicious.
They were like that big when she finally.
But they were
passed away.
small too?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom made small
legit? They kept getting
tortillas.
smaller?
She always made small tortillas.
They got smaller though. each
See,
time.
yeah, when you put them in there, this will shrink. This will shrink and when
But
it's
so
cooking.
good with the beans and oh my gosh, like my
But like you said,
grandma's
I like
food.
the butter, and I also like the peanut butter with the sugar.
Mhm.
And that brings up a lot of memories as a kid.
And it's
Doing all
crazy that we did it like that versus like bean burritos. I remember she would make bean burritos, but she would like fry the bean burrito. Have you ever had a fried bean burrito? My mom would fry her bean burritos, so they were a fried tortilla, like a fried burrito.
So
That's how
after you
she
put the
made bean
beans in there,
burritos.
and
Yeah.
then- So like a chimichanga?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Really?
That's how we ate our bean burritos. Yeah.
So what made you stop making tortillas?
Oh, they're a lot of work.
Is that what it was?
And then she's like store bought.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Uh,
And you know what? I started working.
uh,
Remember when, before I didn't work,
that's it.
and then I
You were
started
stay-at-home
working.
mama.
I'll take time out to
And
make these.
he was too tired to come home and make tortillas.
See, that's why she made them smaller because she has to go over it too much.
Well, they just.
It's just easier to just
They
do a
just
couple of
put
twists on it.
back again. I didn't turn on the fire.
When you're
over
mass
there.
producing, you got to.
Yeah, it's just easier that way. You know what to set them on? Nisa?
Huh?
You know what to set it on?
No, like medium, mom, or
A
what?
little bit high right now.
like right between medium and high.
Yeah, then I'll lower it.
Okay.
If it's hot.
You don't need anything on here.
No.
So you said you barely started learning these when you got married, and you said you were 24?
Well, no, I knew how, but, you know, because my mom would show us, but we never really made them. My mom
She always,
always
made
made them, but we knew.
Oh, okay.
We knew how.
And I seen you making them, like, there was no recipe book, it was just in your head. So
It's
you
in
made
my
them
head.
so long, it's just
It's in
there.
my head and hope it was okay.
See
how it comes out.
We're gonna find out here shortly.
It might fall
apart
when
when
she
she
puts
puts
it
it
on
on
the
If not, when we eat them, we're like,
Hey.
oh, they're good.
Sam says,
Hey, if they're not
Well,
good,
hey,
just
well,
pretend.
Yeah, we'll have the king of one-liners drop real quick, just see what he says with them.
Sam says it's been 15 years.
That's where my
it's
stash
a long
went.
time.
But we used to get like we would put it with our fingers, so it would like. But we would put it like on the gas burner. We wouldn't even use one of those
pan.
little placa thingies. We would just do it on the gas burner, so like our fingers would be burning and stuff while we're flipping them and trying to warm up the tortillas.
Prior, like this, instead of,
Well,
No,
after
after.
when they were
Oh, after
already
we cooked them.
when they were
Oh,
already
yeah, yeah.
prepped and they're in the refrigerator or
Yeah.
sitting on the side, and we wanted to heat them up. We would do that and.
oh, just throw them on there
Yeah,
real quick.
to warm it up or make whatever we wanted to make, but I remember like just flipping it like really quick
Something-
and your fingers burning from doing it.
Something about gas stove was always better.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't even, I would never be able to do what we did with the stoves they have now.
Yeah.
Like, I would need to have one of
Because
those
when you have the electric
iron
ones and you put the
skillets.
tortilla right on
Oh,
it,
it
it just sticks
sticks.
right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible. And then the house
Yeah.
smells and you start
Yeah.
getting yelled at.
Yeah. It doesn't work, so don't try it at home.
It's a
Don't try
warning.
that at
Don't try
home.
that at home at all.
Make sure you have a gas stove or you have an iron skillet.
Yeah. So do you want to try
I'm
it
going to
first?
see if it's
All right,
ready.
we're gonna see. So 15 years, huh, son? Last time you had one? This is my cousin Robert. This is
That's
my
my
cousin
son.
Denise's son and my Nora's grandson. Yeah.
And my brother.
Oh yeah. We can't let Lonnie out of this yet. Lonnie's brother.
Lonnie's brother.
Do you remember having these?
Yeah,
When was the last time?
a few months ago I think she made them.
See, he remembers.
A few months ago, where were we at?
Oh, someone's got special
remember.
treatment over here.
Did you tell
Sam,
her
I
that's
don't
what you
know.
wanted?
No, she just made
Trying to
them
take
out
my
of
spot.
nowhere.
That's what it sounds like.
She just came out of nowhere. I was kind of like, what was this? What's that thing?
Only he got to experience it. Not I didn't call everybody over.
Yeah. What was the special
I
occasion
probably,
that
I probably made some chile verde and beans,
Just-
and I didn't have to store-bought tortillas, so I made some.
Well,
That's probably
yeah, that's
what
easy
cost
just to
it.
win this. It's something all easy, huh? I just made it real quick. It's nothing
Oh, I
to do
wanted
with
to
it.
spoil Robert. I'm sorry. I
Hey,
wanted to
look,
spoil
special
Robert.
occasion. She made him because I was
Robert.
moving finally. She
Oh,
was like,
so-
oh, she's like, I don't make these much. It's been 17 years since I made these
Here
much.
you go, man.
She
Get
said,
out of here. She's like, it's time for you to go.
here's a going away
It's like a
present.
celebration, like,
Yeah.
yes.
She was.
I'm gonna do
she
something
was-
I ain't done
she was
before in a
clapping,
long
like, she was
time.
doing the tortillas, but she was clapping like, yeah.
Finally.
My arm feels better already.
Yeah, who needs surgery?
Sorry, it wasn't ready.
It's okay. What are you saying? The flat
The
skillet
the
wasn't
flame
hot
wasn't
enough?
hot enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. How did you know?
It's they cook really
It didn't cook.
really quick.
Oh, that's.
It didn't
Oh, I
cook.
didn't know. Like, I don't. Is that when
What?
it gets thicker?
It didn't cook.
Oh.
If it's
When she
right
flipped
in
it,
my
it was
stuff,
all
Have you
yeah,
made this?
he
Oh,
saw
he
me
knows?
plenty of times
Oh,
making
yeah.
tortillas,
We said
but
Oh, yeah, you just
As
eat
soon
it.
as it comes out,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like,
That's
maybe
what
I
they do
didn't
later.
maybe I didn't put enough baking powder in there, and they're not gonna fluff up.
You didn't want to know the recipe, but you want to know when it was done. You're sitting here like, hey.
I'm like, did you do powder? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
got powder,
That was
yeah.
salt.
I did, didn't I? Didn't I, Gashi?
Your eyes were like,
I had to
oh,
look too. What did I get? I don't know.
Did,
I was sent a recipe.
I hope I did. Oops.
Lay another one on
you
there.
put a lot of flour.
No, didn't
We
you?
need to
I'm
make
sure
another
I did.
batch.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah, you put it in because it's
Yeah,
open.
It's open.
Yeah, so you put it in.
Forgive old age.
Right.
Sometimes we forget things. I wasn't here to see the process.
See me, Mama.
Otherwise, you'd be
You
like,
didn't
nah,
remind her?
Yeah.
You didn't remind her.
It was only a couple
Before
months ago.
this.
Everybody.
We're like, it's been 30 years. It was like last month.
And Lonnie's never had them.
And Lonnie was like,
She's been here for 17 years, never had these. He had them a couple of months ago.
I'm like, we did not get
So,
called over for
Well, when you
that.
tasted the dough right now, did it taste like?
And Denise didn't even give you a piece, did she?
She
didn't. She ate it all.
And I give it to Lonnie.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you again for joining us from My Hood to Your Hood. Remember, it's the recipes that make it good, but it's the stories and memories that make it great. I'm your host, Guy Shane, from My Hood to Your Hood.
Yeah.